Hello?
Okay. I wrote this a few days ago, or no, a few weeks ago now. And it was going through my head while I was listening to Mr. Graham and Mr. Martin and Chris Green, especially the last line. Where's Chris? Oh, did he? And Rafe. So I don't know if I want to say more than that. I'll just read what I wrote. And this is like a real encounter. I also thought it went well with the whole idea of, face-to-face encounters, right? I first noticed you, it's called The Summer of the Snake. I first noticed you when I went to pump out the pond. The water had been stagnant for some time and needed refreshing, and as the pump worked to lower the water level, you swam along the edges, looking for a way out. I thought you were stuck. You quickly showed me that you were not. The following day, I continued my work on the pond, and as I stepped towards the edge, you swam quickly and curiously towards me, and then disappeared under the water and into some rocks. I wondered if you could be without air that long. I wondered why you swam so knowingly towards me, and I wondered what the chances were that I would see you 2 days in a row. You were big, bigger than any garter snake I had ever seen, and you somehow emanated a sense of ownership over the pond, as if it was yours and I was the intruder. I left you head first in the rocks with the tip of your tail sticking out, underwater. I suppose the snake knows what it is doing, was my thought. My first thought was that perhaps you needed saving, but that was quickly abandoned as I watched you navigate the pond with ease. Each day as I returned to the pond, you were there, sometimes outside the pond, and then upon my arrival slithering into the water to keep a watchful eye on me. And sometimes I caught a flash of you as you swam gracefully underwater, head moving slowly side to side, scooping up shrimp and larvae. There were so many places you could hide in the pond, but every day I saw you, because as I have come to realize, you wanted me to see you. You always placed yourself in close proximity, but just far enough away to avoid most of my human tendencies. It seemed to me after a time that my instincts were less under control than yours were. I was the animal, you the observer. Crossing the footbridge one afternoon to the garden next to the pond, you suddenly poked your head out between the boards where they met the grass. I paused, as did you. "Hello," I said. It seemed that after these watery encounters, suddenly here we were, quite face to face on land. As I stood still, you took the opportunity to slither out completely, and then made a quick turn towards the grass. I followed your tail because I know from childhood that that is the only part of a snake that the eye can follow. And just before your tail disappeared in the grass, it was joined by another snake's head. But wait, no, it was your head as it glided past your tail, and then the tail disappeared only to reappear as you headed for the water. How deceptive, I thought. My head couldn't keep up with my eyes, and my eyes felt like audience members in a great magic show. And suddenly, I felt like Eve, meeting a snake in the garden, not being afraid, and also being quite deceived. I didn't know what it all meant, but I felt I had experienced something existential, something transcendent. I'm still thinking about it. I probably will for a long time. I don't think it matters, really, finding out what it all means. I think it only matters that I was there, and you showed me what it felt like. I haven't seen you since. It has been a couple of weeks. We did have some cooler weather until yesterday. I walked back to the footbridge and brought my feet down hard on it, knocking, I suppose, to see if you were home, hoping for that same encounter, but knowing that these things only happen once. Then something did happen. A small baby garter snake came up from the same hole you did that day and found its way along the boards of the footbridge, heading in the direction of the pond. And then I wondered, were you also Mother?
I got it, girl. This one is called The Blue God, because I figured, I heard people saying, there's been a lot of Christian stuff going on here, so I figured I'd read a poem about a Hindu god that will get me in trouble with the Ortho Bros for sure. Anathema! So there we go. The Blue God. It is early to work the scythe, but the moist, cool air hangs thick and still, and no dew dampens my boots. A storm approaches from the east, and I hope it will end this drought. The pastures are dry and sparse, and the cow has little to graze, which is why I cut marsh grass in its greenness this morning. I remember seeing him, the giant, blue and fierce, his sharpened sword lifted aloft, riding a white horse across Lake Huron from Ontario. I was 25 then, and it was at the beginning of the end of all things. The barn swallows and starlings do not fly above the meadow today, but I see a flurry of ants pillage the grease of the larvae of a fallen paper wasp's nest I crushed under heel on the porch steps yesterday. Thus we all, intended or not, contribute to the perpetual cycling of death and life. I wash out the stainless steel compost bucket to rid the plague of fruit flies that has menaced us in the kitchen these past days, and I see a sticker on the underside I had never paid attention to before. Made in India. This makes me laugh. He looked angry as he crossed the lake, waves churning around the horse's cannons, the wind rushing in its mane. Well, maybe not angry, but severe, focused, commissioned, foreboding. After I hit a black walnut sapling with a clang, the scythe begs for sharpening. I set the snath's head on a boulder covered in dead grass and then sweep the honing stone along the dulled blade to set the burr. That dream I had last night, what was it? I remember. A voice that troubled the wind as I milked a she-deer on a winter's night in the forest. The pail buried in snow, steam rising from the milk while the clustering stars threw sparks through a hole in the deep canopy. He made me a sharp-edged sword and hid me in the shadow of his arm. But I wonder what he was telling me, the blue god, as he disturbed the Huron moving west. This was in the summer of 1987, before Tiananmen Square, before Berlin, before we found ourselves placed in the possession of the archons, before we were digitized, before we were silenced, before we were formed in the image and likeness of a digital god in a garden of nothing. I hear deep thunder as the storm comes creeping closer, and realize it is time I finish this scythe work. There is no wisdom in tempting nature, no matter how poetic the blade one holds. And yet I wonder if the blue god still breaks the waves of the universe. He who will kill by the millions the thieves and the rogues who have dared to dress as kings in this age of darkness. If you're bummed out, please let me know.
This is a psalm, so I have to stand up. I hope that's okay. You can't.
Should we all stand, Greg?
You guys can do what you want. I have to stand up to read it. You guys just hang out. That's fine. This weekend has meant so much to me. That's not part of the poem. I'm just telling you now why. Thank you all so much for sharing the depths of yourself with each other, with me. And then a little side note to help with the psalm. With the Hebrew, the name of the divine, which you're not supposed to pronounce in its fullness, I just say Yah, the first half. And Rafe mentioned that the name of the God is like the breath, Yahweh, like the in-breath and out-breath. So when you hear Yah, that's what I'm doing there? Okay, so this is a version of Psalm 71. And I'm really sad that my Estuary group is over. So that's what I'm dealing with. In you alone, Yah, do I take refuge. So don't let me wither away like sepia reeds rattling at the edge of a vanished stream. Take me into your shade. In the cool shadows of harmony with you, let me escape. As the white petals of the desert windflowers tilting sunward in the breeze, incline your ear to the whispers of my voice and come and rescue me. For you alone are my flint megalith, my only temple, and to you alone do I ever return, as if to a vast emptiness, into the coolness of your shadows, where your voice is serene in the darkness, a refreshing breeze. You are my citadel, my tower of rock. Let me evade, my highest one, the grasp of the wandering and the lost, and escape the clutches of the blood-stained and polluted, whose faces are scrunched up and bloodied from years of lapping the rancid oasis of cruelty. For you are my only hope, Yah, my only King. And to you alone do I cling, like a little one clinging to his father, as my only safety and my confidence. It's you who's held me up and led me by the hand ever since I left my mother's womb. You yourself, my highest one, who severed me from my mother's body and carried me into the daylight like a bundle of grass from the earth freshly scythed. And now I'm reaching upward for your hands. I'm holding my hands palm upward in the sky and singing for you, Father, because my life has meaning when I'm like that. A sign to the wandering masses that you alone have become my refuge and my fortress. So let my mouth overflow day by day with songs of your shining greatness and of the honor which adorns you like the blossoms of a tree. You, the loveliest of kings, arrayed in garlands of living flowers. Don't rip me away from yourself when I'm dried out and wilted, tossed away in the darkness of senescence, when the wind of time blows and my petals fall to the ground. For those who rip up this tent and point my own tent poles at me like spears, string words together against me in my own head. Those who lie in wait for my inmost breath, standing like a mirage of trees and whispering in my mind's shadows, the highest one has left him. Let us pursue him and take him. Then let us stretch him out and beat him like a tambourine, since no one will come to the rescue. O highest one, don't be far away like that. Elohe, my high one, run to my side and be my nearest helper, that in your sunlight they might wither up like grass, those twisting themselves like thorns against me. As the bright-winged falcon suddenly drops from the sky, snatch them away in your talons and pierce their hearts, for they're trying to destroy me. And outside in the scorching sun, I will wait to feel your wings as the cool breezes of twilight, waving my hands in the sky as the many-fingered branches of the palm, singing praises to you, green again and ever shining, singing in the sapphire sky of the beauty of your infinite harmonies and your endless mercies. I'm going to and fro in the warrior strength flowing from Yahweh Adonai, always mindful of harmony with you, the soul fiber of my being. You have been my shepherd since my youth, O highest one. I've been face to face with your own creative power. And now in the twilight of this age, ashen and reeling from vertigo, don't leave me here alone until I've showed this generation the face of your warrior strength also. That harmony with you is high and lifted up, my high one, my tower, who has created majestic things and who has shown me great anguish and soul-crushing distress also. Who will turn me towards life once again and lift me up from the abyss of the earth, amplifying my presence and surrounding me on all sides in a flourishing oasis of solace. I'll strum the zither in praise of you, my highest one. Your faithfulness will I pluck with the harp. O Israel's Holy One, my lips will shout for joy, singing loudly of how you ransomed my inmost breath, my tongue cooing like a dove, meditating, murmuring, wind-like to the flowers, about the joy of harmony with you.
Do I stay here? Do I stay here?
Luke went to go get him. So I wasn't planning on doing this, but while Luke's getting the questions anyway. Oh, yeah. So the one thing about this conference that I wish I had been able to do, but wasn't because of my mom's health, was I would have loved to have my mom come out here and sing for you. And so this is a poem I wrote probably 25 years ago, just reflecting on my mom and her singing. And I think it really touches on the theme of this conference, so I'm going to go ahead and share it. It's called When Mama Sings. When Mama was a little girl, she'd climb up a pecan tree and spend the whole day just singing up there in the treetops. Most folks thought she sang like a beautiful bird, but not her own mama or her granny. She'd climbed that tree to get away from them in the first place, away from the rules. Don't you know that girls who wear shorts go to hell? Stop that singing. That's the devil's music. Up in that pecan tree, she could just sing. God's music, the devil's music. Didn't matter to Mama. To her, it was just music. It was in her and wanted to get out. Didn't matter if anyone was there to listen or not. Mama doesn't climb pecan trees anymore, but Mama still sings. Mama always sings. Sings early in the morning when sane folks are still in bed. I think God made us to sing in the morning, just like the birds. Some mornings it made me understand why some folks shoot birds. But most of the time I like it when Mama sings. If you go to a karaoke bar around here, you're bound to run into her. Most of the time she wouldn't stand out, just another middle-aged woman out to escape the humdrum of a life that never turned out the way she wanted. Sure, you might say she has a lovely voice, but you'd walk away unchanged. But then again, sometimes, if the mood is right and the song is right, it's just like when she was a little girl up in that pecan tree. She's not singing for you. She's not even really singing for her. She's just singing because she's Mama. If you catch her on one of those nights, and if you close your eyes and listen, when Mama sings, you hear the voice of God.